Hello, and welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Today we are going to talk about Meadow.
Now, we're doing a bit of a review slash preview of this game for two reasons. One, because we have a prototype, a very nice prototype sitting in front of us, and the second reason is this game is, I believe now, or very soon, going to be available for pre-order. And so I thought I'd sit down, give you a little bit of a preview, but because I'm really charmed by this game.
And I love it.
We
obsessed.
also thought we'd do a bit of a review as well, to talk about the things that we really like about it, some of the things that others might not enjoy about it, and give you a little bit of insight into what this title is and why, for me, it's so lovely and compelling, which is partially going to do with this, which we'll get to in just a little bit. Shira, can you break down what exactly we're doing in Meadow?
So in Meadow, we are obtaining landscapes, different types of terrain, which would be these cards from the East deck, and then we are slowly building up a hierarchy of animals that eat other animals that require different foods. Sort of, yeah. The caterpillars eat the grubs, and the frogs eat the other frogs, and so you're slowly building it up till the wolves come out.
Well, the main theme or style of this game is going to be as if you're looking into your backyard or looking into a meadow and observing what nature and wildlife is there, meaning there's different berries and flowers and bees and birds that
really
attract
great flavor text in there.
That attract and open up various different opportunities for other creatures to come, and the main sequence of this game is going to be stacking or grabbing cards from this main deck, taking special actions with your action tokens, which we'll talk about in just a little bit, and then playing those down into your tableau. For instance, a grub is able to attract a frog, because the frog needs the grub there to eat and consume. Or, if you have this fence with a beetle, you'd be able to attract this bird that would land on it and pick the beetles off of it. This is all about building an ecosystem of matching symbols that all, thematically for me, make sense and then start escalating until you get, like you said, over here to the North deck, where you're more vicious. Your predators, your fancy buildings, your subdivisions. The North deck is going to bring in a lot of endgame scoring and a lot of new incredible creatures. And every single one of these cards in here is entirely customized. It's entirely unique, has beautiful artwork, has a piece of flavor text or a piece of fact that is tied to it, and really allows you to sit and experience and observe what is happening in the field.
Even the satchels, I notice, have a number on them. I wonder what it says about them.
We're going to have to look that up. What is the flavor text you were mentioning?
In Meadow, players are wanderers observing nature, home to the most interesting stories where animals and plants are the main actors. Equipped with a map, players wander a picturesque landscape, searching for inspiration among the breathtaking sights. They are led by their passion for discovering the mysteries of nature and by their desire to become acclaimed as the most skilled observer. The title will be won by the person who earns the most points from observing different types of animals, plants, and landscapes, as well as from souvenirs gathered during their trip. The competition continues at the campfire, where players race to fulfill their adventure's goals.
Yeah, so on your turn, you're going to be taking some fairly simple actions to build out your base game tableau. You're going to be either going here to the main board with one of your different action tokens, placing it down in any of these little notches, and then taking the card that is as far as the number indicates away. This is a unique little pressure point, because there's some resources that you need. You're trying to unlock cards that you have in your hand, and depending on where you play, you're blocking other people from getting access to certain cards in this main board.
Yeah. Now, and once you go on this side, and in this row, you can never access that card.
Yeah. Now, there is also a campfire location where you could go.
Yeah, this one allows you, on the number one, the other side, you can stick it like so, and then you could do the bottom half, which allows you to take a card from anywhere in the grid.
Every one of these tiles is going to have their own unique custom action, so you're making a determination between playing it here to pick a card up from the board, or notching it over into the campfire section in order to score some endgame victory points, and specifically to take a special action that breaks the game a little bit, like draw a card from anywhere, pick up from the stack, cycle through them, and choose one that you want to keep.
Put two cards down. Additionally, when you go to the grid, you're both taking a card and enabling yourself to place one down in your tableau. When you just go over here to, what are you calling these?
Notches, campfire board.
When you go to the campfire board notches, you aren't allowed to place a card down. You're getting a more specific capability and skill that you might want, but you are losing the ability to play a card down into the tableau.
Overall, this is a fairly simple, straightforward game with a lot of progression and a lot of interest when it comes to the way that you're building your tableau, because every creature that you add, or every building or bird or item that you add into your tableau is going to be covering up other icons. For instance, this frog that's eating this worm, that worm is no longer available. The frog still is, which means I could attract something that wants to eat a frog. Currently, there's nothing on the board that wants to do that, but some birds, some other forest creatures would be able to play down on top of that. You're always trying to play this puzzle of what is covering what is revealed, what allows me to sort of have a sequence that kind of layers on top of each other.
Like, here, this is a tree. The beetle needs the tree. And then the bird wants the beetle.
Yeah. And so throughout the course of the game, you're going to be playing variable amounts of rounds. So this is a 2-player board. So in a 2-player game, you're going to be playing 6 total rounds, whereas when you get to the middle, you'll be swapping out the south deck with the north deck. Now,
interesting. I did not notice that with the 2-player board. It switches
a little bit shorter.
to 3 rounds.
Now, the north deck is going to introduce even more unique custom creatures, but also some predators. Things like falcons, things like wolves, larger scoring birds and cats, different types of terrain that all have all play off of the amount of cards that you have on your table.
Yeah. These predominantly have 3 and 4 points. The points are shown in the bottom corner. So, it's my favorite, the Raven.
Yeah.
The Raven requires a whole bunch of things. It has to have had a house, a tree, either a frog or a bird, and a bug. So you have to have all those symbols visible. You can't have had them covered when you're trying to get the Raven down. So.
Yep. So that's going to be the main kind of overview of this. What is it that you like about Meadow?
The art.
Sure.
I love nature. I love being outside, camping, hiking. So the art really appeals to me. Every single card is unique. There's no 2 cards that are the exact same. And the colors are vibrant, and the stories that they tell are just so interesting. I love that card index.
Yeah, we'll get to that really soon.
It explains each and every card and each and every animal and something, a little fact about them.
Everything ties together.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I mean, the artwork is beautiful. Every card
thematic.
is unique. But also, when I'm adding a butterfly to a grassy plain that has a caterpillar, I understand that caterpillar just turned into that butterfly. When I'm adding a bird, it's because it is consuming. It's a predator of that species. When I'm adding a house or a fence or a bird nest, there's just so much opportunity here for sort of world building and exploration.
We haven't even gone into the roads.
Appreciating how beautiful nature is. It's a combination of the two things that I think I love the most.
You didn't explain the roads.
So there's going to be 2 sections to where you're building out your tableau. One is going to be the field or the meadow where you're observing these creatures. The second is going to be the more human side of the environment. It's going to have things like roads, houses, fence posts, and then different trinkets or items that you've collected on your way, from catching, from a butterfly net to catch them, to a little piece of driftwood, a horseshoe. And all of these, of course, are leading to the very simple, the most victory points at the end of the game is going to win. And so the higher they are up, the more advanced they are, the more hard they are to get, the higher the victory points will be. But that journey, that experience of the game, for me, is so tied to the theme that I feel like I can play a game about observing nature and still feel rewarded or engaged when it comes to the victory points, when it comes to the main objective.
Yeah. There are also, within the campfire, there's different symbols that if you have both of them available, you can place down your colors tokens to score points. So you were yellow, I was red. So in my tableau, let's say I had a mushroom and an animal that had a paw, so I was able to put down my victory points. And so you can only do that when you're notching one of these into a groove. That's when you have the capability of playing it down. And it's extra points, and it's also thematic. Like, this is how you kind of set your goals for the game. Like, I want to end up being able to get the wolf and the paw. So I now have to wait for the north deck to come out or get some cards from the north deck, because I know that's where all the wolves are, and set up my tableau so that I can build up to it. There's some, What?
I was just gonna say. So we did play this game with a very grumpy Board Game Co.
Yes.
Who doesn't like nature at all.
Just like being outside.
And
he burrows in his basement.
That's true. That's true. And there's definitely gonna be a few. He's not gonna watch this review. There's definitely gonna be a few elements of this game that might make it not right for some players.
Yes.
First off is going to be the theming. I think we're both biased in favor of how beautiful this game is. But if you're not into that...
Like, I'd compare it to Parks. I'd compare it to Wingspan.
Yep.
Canvas.
Yep.
Just up there, ranking in the... We should do most beautiful games.
Some of the most beautiful games. Yeah, it's right there evoking. And I would honestly... I would rank this even equal with Wingspan when it comes to the aesthetic, the art, the way that you can explore the world around you. I think for me it's above Parks and it's above Canvas.
Parks, we'll have to do that video because I'm not leaving any spoilers.
Perfect. But some of the stuff that you might not be interested in, this really is just going to be a tableau, a sequencing puzzle. And until you understand the nature of these actions, it might seem a bit straightforward in the first few rounds.
And the
it
symbols.
Also potentially lasts a little bit longer than maybe some would like. This is maybe a 60 to 90 minute game, which feels satisfactory at probably 60 minutes in.
We played with 4 players.
Probably not the preferred player count.
Yeah, not the preferred player count. It dragged on a little bit longer. We were saying that there's 8 rounds in a 4-player game, and we might have wanted it condensed down to 6.
Yep.
Kind of. We felt like we had met our goals by the time the 6th round came up, and then we were just kind of taking extra turns.
Doing the extra little bit of
and
victory
just
points
scoring
here and there.
extra points, which didn't feel as satisfactory.
I think in my mind, this is going to really shine at 2, maybe 3 players.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to digging in more, especially with the fact that the rounds reduce a little bit more. Everything's a little bit tighter. Yeah. Everything's a little bit more variable.
I'm interested in seeing. This is the 2-player board. The 1-player board's on the other side. 3-player also has
3 players is going to be 6 rounds total.
So
4 is the only one that scales up, and 4 felt a little bit longer than we would have preferred.
Yeah.
However, I don't know that I need 4 players to really enjoy this game. I think for myself, being an accessible 2-player or 3-player game is right where I want something like this to exist.
There's also a solo mode that I'm for sure interested in reading about just to see.
Any other major things that you think might make this wrong for some players? Like I said, it's not all about powers and abilities and escalating.
Yeah.
It's really about observing nature and placing cards down in your tableau. And
what was Alex's main complaint?
His main complaint that it was a lot of work to get a little bit of points. It was min-maxing efficiency.
Like just picking at like 1 point here, 1 point there, and it didn't feel like it was building up to anything. I kind of saw it as a bigger picture, and so that just made me happy to see, wow, look at my tableau. Yeah. You went up higher, I went wider, and it was interesting to see those 2 different...
I think if you approach the game from the standpoint of mechanics alone, if you're just doing it as an efficiency puzzle to gain as many points as possible, well, there's other games that provide a different type or different nature of challenge.
It seemed a little dry at that.
However, if you like the aesthetic, if you like the artwork, then there's a really good system in play here that allows you to explore that while still kind of enjoying the idea of kind of walking around nature. It feels like...
How pretty this bird is.
I know.
And it's got a grub in its mouth because it needs a grub.
Because it needs a grub to eat. It feels like it exists. It feels like you're walking around a meadow. It feels like you're really doing what the game is claiming you should be doing.
Yeah.
So, do we want to look up a few of these card indexes?
Yes, I'm picking out the prettiest
let me show
cards.
this off. This will be the end of the video here, but this card index is going to show every single unique card that exists with the name, the genius, and a little bit of a description or conversation about it. And I would love this game to do immaculately well, because what I would like is a Middle Eastern expansion, I would like a European expansion. Like, I want to be able to... I want 17 copies of this game from each region of the world, where you can just sit down and observe and sort of take a look at different parts of the world.
I want to make it into coasters for my house.
Yeah,
it's so pretty.
It's beautiful.
Look up these 2 so far.
Okay, so I have number C23.
Isn't that just gorgeous, that scene?
Yeah. So C23 is going to be landscape with a doe. A herd of deer is led by the most experienced female, which is very cool. And then this one here is going to be C33. C33 is going to be the Western capercaillie. During one of the phases of performing its mating song, the capercaillie stops responding to external stimuli. C28. C28 is going to be a forest wilderness. In the old Slavic regions, it was a place in the depths of the forest associated with the worship of a deity, a place that holds councils or considered a seat of evil spirits. And then finally, it looks like we have, a badger here? C13. C13, a common... No,
C13.
13. Well, that is not a common pheasant.
That is a typo.
So that one is wrong. I also wanted to look up something like a little horseshoe here.
Yeah.
D19 here. Now, again, prototype, so I'm not concerned that the badger is claiming to be a common pheasant. D19, horseshoe. Horseshoes were unknown in antiquity. The horse's hooves were covered with various types of leather or woven sandals that would wear out quickly. The oldest metal horseshoes found by archaeologists come from the Celtic mounds. See, there's
really
just... All right,
cool.
I want to do one more. D36.
You're gonna start boring your viewers.
But I like it so much. Beehives. Pure honey without admixtures never goes bad. The oldest edible honey is found around 5,000 years old.
Look, they do have different countries. Poland, France,
Very cool.
Spain, Denmark, Germany, Italy. So
Very cool.
they're already ahead of you.
So, absolutely lovely. I am a big fan of this game. If the aesthetic is pleasing, then I can tell you the mechanics are solid. I'm getting an official copy of this. I am also stubbornly going to try my best to hold on to the prototype until we get an official copy in.
Prototype's not going anywhere.
And I would love to... I'll probably be bringing gameplay or some other display as well. Whatever the case, thank you for joining me.
You joined me. My channel.
Okay. Yeah, here in Board Game Co. studio. I think, as far as I can tell, you're taking over both of the channels.
I am. I heard that I was the cause for pushing everybody over 25K.
Congratulations on all of your success.
Thank you.
Whatever the case, whatever you do.
Get out there and play some games.
Oh, so close. Still missed the ending.
I said the important part.